He was my professor at Ozark for a couple of classes. Old Testament history was a big one. One of the main, I was trying to think of some memories of Woody, and the biggest one that stands out to me, I remember going to his office several times and not knowing where he was once I walked in, because he had so many books in there. I think they were all over, I'm pretty sure he could probably fill this entire room with how many books he had. And he's probably read all of them several times. So, but was my professor here now, if I understand it right. Now you're church relations with Ozark Christian College, and kind of moved into that. And I'm glad he's here. I'm excited to hear what he has for us today. So if you give him a round of applause.
Well, good morning to each one of you, and greetings in the dear name of Jesus, and also greetings from Ozark Christian College in Joplin, Missouri. Joy to be with you today, and joy to see Brother B.J. Now, his last name Wall. When I was a professor there, I usually came up with the first day or two of class, I usually came up with some type of a nickname for them. I could remember the nickname, couldn't remember their own name at all. But I used to call him B.J. Wallbanger. So I don't quite fit, but it seemed to. And even the students started calling him Wallbanger as well. So I guess I succeeded in getting a new name for him. It's a joy to see you. Thank you for your kind introduction. And I do have lots of books, and I'm trying to get rid of them because at the end of June, well, my work at the college will cease as far as in the actual intricate ministry of the college itself, but they have given me some leeway and opportunity to get rid of some of my books and clear up my two offices. I've actually moved from one to another in order to compensate for the number of books that I have. I want to say thanks to the praise team. Great job. Appreciate that. Music always plays such an intricate part in our time of praise and worship. It's like a group of churches that were built around the city square of a particular community, and they were singing away, and one was singing, "Will there be any stars in my crown or my crown?" The church across the street was echoing, "No, not one, no, not one." And the other church was singing, "Oh, that will be glory for me." So it does seem that singing can have a great part, and I want to say thank you for your time of sharing with us and helping us in our time of worship today. I'm not used to standing on a platform like this. I feel that you are people with a sense of humor, but most of my teaching was always done on the lower level where I could get close and interact with my students on occasion as I was lecturing. But it reminds me of a young fellow who had a real passion for ministry, going to college, learning how to preach, did not have a lot of pulpit experience at all, but he thought, I'll just work hard, and he worked hard and found out, had an opportunity to go to a small country church just not too far down the road, and he just really labored on the sermon to try to do the best he possibly could do. Well, not having much pulpit experience and public speaking experience, he decided if I can just start off with a powerful introduction and capture their attention, maybe from that point I could carry on. We finally got there to the church, and a little early, walked through the building, had a rather high platform, also had a railing right here in front of me as well, and it came time for him to preach. Didn't read a text, just lunged for the pulpit and said, "Behold, I come forth." His mind went blank. I understand that. And so he backed up to kind of regain some of his composure and some of his thoughts. And he lunged for the pulpit the second time. A little more speed, a little more volume. And he said, "Behold, I come forth." And again, his mind just went totally blank. He's kind of shuffling his notes around. This time he's determined to get this message going. So he backs up a little further, gives a greater lunge for the pulpit, and yells out, "Behold, I come forth." In the process of this, and because of the speed, he lost his balance, caught his heel of his shoe on a portion of the ragged carpet alongside the pulpit, spun him around, did a 1.5 gainer off the platform, over the banister, and landed right in the lap of one of the most dearly saintly ladies of the church. He started patting on her, of course. Congregation never seen anything like that in their life. And so he started patting on his face and said, "Oh, lady, I'm so sorry. I did not mean for this to happen." And she looked up at him with a smile and said, "Dear brother, don't worry a thing about it. You warned me 3 times that you were coming. So I'm going to do my best to stay right here behind this pulpit, because that does not happen to me lead today. Let me just give a couple of items here of interest. First of all, I want to introduce my wonderful wife, Rose, who's back there. Rose and I have been married for 50 years, 51 years. We'll be this July 51 years, and 52. 52, right? Yeah, okay. I'm sorry, folks, I'm 73 years of age, and by the time you start getting my age, the memory just doesn't have what it used to have. But anyway, 52 years that we will have been married. I definitely remember the day because it was July 16th, 1965. So I got that down right, and so anyway, she's been a real helpmate, a real blessing to my life and ministry in so many, many ways. And love her dearly, and so I hope that you'll take the opportunity to get better acquainted with her. Second item, I'm not going to go over what I went over during our time of Sunday school and the college, but I have brought quite a bit of material with me. It's out there on the table, and I just want you to become aware it's your college. We're thankful for your support, and your prayer support, and your financial support, because we could not exist without folks like yourself. So from the depths of our heart, on behalf of the college, we say thank you for being a part of Ozark Christian College, the sending out, training them, sending them out throughout the world. And we have what we put out about 3 or 4 times a year called the Ambassador. It used to be known as the Compass. And this has a familiar face on it. You probably have seen or heard of Mark Scott and his family, as his dad, as Mark, as his daughter, also a graduate of Ozark Christian College. Got several of them out there. Some of you, I think, have already indicated to me that you might get this particular magazine that comes out, as I said, about 3 or 4 times a year. So help yourself. The more that you take, the less I have to take back with me. So that will help a great deal as well. And then one other final thing, the fact that every summer we have a number of students from the college go out, literally scattered throughout the entire world. Along with that, we have staff members, we have faculty members that also go out to various places. Some stay in the United States. Many of them literally circle the globe. We want you to become aware, and this is kind of a prayer calendar chart to just encourage you to be praying for these young men and women as they go out ministering the gospel of Jesus Christ and just sharing the love of Jesus. If you would pray for them. Many of them are going to be going into places that are dangerous and places that are not necessarily kind towards Christianity. So if you would take one of those and pray for them, we would definitely appreciate that, and they would appreciate that so very much as well. I want to say also thanks to Gene and Teresa for their kindness. They did such a great job of keeping me informed, setting things up. Thank you, folks. I appreciate that so very, very much for your kind spirit and your way of helping me work the arrangements out that I could get with you here today. Well, this is, of course, Memorial Day weekend. And so thinking about this, I designed a message that would go along with that, but look at it from a Christian perspective and a Christian degree of memorial as it relates to the Christian faith. Some of that has already been directed in our thoughts around the Lord's Supper, and I want to entertain some of those same ideas in our message this morning as we think about our Christian memorial as it relates directly to the Lord's Supper and gathering around the Lord's table. In the book of 1 Corinthians, I know you're familiar with these words, but I'm going to read them as kind of a basis and draw from this and extrapolate from this text 3 principles about the Lord's Supper, about our Christian memorial, that I think is so vital that we grasp and see and will leave here today more inspired and more of a sense of depth of understanding about what the Lord's Supper and this memorial is all about. From the 11th chapter of the book of 1 Corinthians, we find these words. In verse 23 it says, begin, for I received from the Lord revelation from God that was given to Paul himself. Paul was not there, not in the upper room, so I'm assuming the fact that he's saying that God revealed what took place and the words that were spoken, at least in part, in that very, very significant point in his life. Well, I also pass on to you, the Lord Jesus, on the night that he was betrayed, took bread, and when he had given thanks, he broke it and said, this is my body, which is for you. Do this in remembrance of me. In the same way, after supper, he took the cup, saying, "This cup is the new covenant, new agreement, new relationship. This is the covenant in my blood. Do this whenever you drink it in remembrance." Notice that, the emphasis, in remembrance of me. Well, whenever you eat and drink, eat the bread and drink this cup, you proclaim the Lord's death until he comes. This is really a great day in our country, in my estimation, as a great day and great weekend for celebration. I also, along with what was stated in the meditation, did some research with regards to memorial and refreshed my memory on some things, and I'm not going to go into great detail or depth on it. But from what I understand historically, that what was normally, first of all, called the Day of Decoration, that it actually stemmed out of the time of the Civil War. It was not necessarily received across our nation as it is today, but the northern states after the Civil War recognized this as a time that they could celebrate and give thanks and appreciation for those that had given their life. It wasn't until the time of World War I, over a period of time, that it actually became a celebration that was accepted right across our nation, across our country, of that great war, so many lives that were lost, and again giving appreciation as far as what was taking place, the lives that were given, the blood that was shed, in order for us to be safe from tyranny and from all kinds of persecution that might come upon us. So it's a good day to be remembered in our culture and in our world today. The Bible tells us in Psalms 33 and verse 12, "Blessed is the nation whose God is the Lord himself." And I can only speak from a personal perspective today in my own life. I am thankful to be an American, aren't you? I feel so blessed as far as being of this great and rich country, of the opportunities that it provides for each and every one of us, and that we will never take for granted the blessings that we have as American citizens, what has been granted to us. But with these blessings, I believe there's also a matter of great responsibility that we bear, because of the richness that we have, the benefits that we have. And when my wife have traveled around the world and see how other nations survive day by day, that lack the essence of food and a good education and property and the things that we sometimes take for granted, of the great blessing that this has been provided for us in this country, and may we never, ever, at any time, take for granted what we have received as a blessing, I believe, from God himself. Now, out of due respect of this and appreciation for this, I just do something. I'm not saying that everyone else needs to do it. I'm simply saying because of my gratitude and my appreciation for American citizenship, that I myself, every year, I take the opportunity and take the time to read the Declaration of Independence and read the Constitution of the United States at least once a year, just to refresh my memory and to say thank you for those that have given so much that I might have the benefits that I have. And to recognize the fact that the principles and foundation of our country itself, built upon the Christian Judeo principles within itself, maybe that's part of the reason that we have been able to sustain ourselves and such blessing. And consequently, if we forsake those principles, maybe we might incur some of the wrath of God upon us. History bears out the fact, from what I understand in my research through the years, that all of those that had any sense as founding fathers signed the Declaration of Independence or had to do with the development of the Constitution of the United States, from what I understand, that every one of them, at least if not all of them, most of them, suffered great senses of loss and privation. Many of them lost their homes, their property, their families. Many of them were put to death for the sense of treason. So when I think about those that were our early leaders of this great country, why I can only extend appreciation to those of yesteryears that have done so much and given so much that we might have the freedoms that we have even at this very day. In fact, to carry this just a little bit further, one of the things that I do as well, when I'm in a public place, and if I have opportunity to do so, and I see one of those veterans that are wearing a hat, I'm a veteran of this or that, I try to get close to them, as close as I possibly can, and shake their hands and say, thank you for your service to our country. And it seems like their face will light up, a smile comes upon their face, we shake hands, and I really personally appreciate those that have served our country to give us the freedoms that we definitely have today. I just had a great experience not too many weeks ago. There is a young man that I've known for many, many years, almost at the day of his birth, in a ministry that I had at Nashville Christian Church when I was a student in Bible college. It so happened that he has developed a kind of wounded warrior program where he has been able, by God's grace and the generosity of many people, been able to buy a lodge that is built on a lake just not too far from the Maid of Missouri. He contacted me several months ago and said, would you have the time to come and to share with us in one of our special gatherings? It was a gathering of chaplains within our United States service areas. Some were from the Navy, some were from the Army, others from other areas of service for our country. And I had the privilege and the honor to share in that program and to talk with these chaplains, all that have been deployed, and just to hear of the circumstances and the pressures that are upon their life, and to pray with them and preach to them and encourage them in their service that they're giving to our country at this particular time. So Memorial Day, in my estimation, is a good day to celebrate, a day of expression of our freedom, as well as to consider the fact of the loss of those that have given so much, the very ultimate cost of life itself, in order for us to share the benefits that we have in our world today. You see, freedom is not free. It always costs something, and oftentimes the ultimate cost. And therefore, let us never take for granted these blessings. But one thing that I try to make certain of is this, that as I celebrate days like this, or the 4th of July, and always thankful for this, one thing that I make certain in my heart. Now, I'm not saying this because I'm against my American citizenship or being here. I'm proud of that, and I'm grateful for that. But I always want to make sure that my expression to Jesus Christ, and that my spiritual development, and my spiritual growth, and my spiritual commitment to Jesus and the church always will exceed and beyond that which of any kind of citizenship that I might have, or a person might have in this life. We want to celebrate this morning our perspective as a Christian, at least in my mind. Celebration of our memorial. And I'm focusing our attention today upon the Lord's Supper, because I do believe that the Lord's Supper, gathered around His table, is a reflection of our Christian memorial, and all that it involves, and all that it tells us theologically is so important to our walk in the spiritual realm. Now, with this in mind, there have, of course, been numerous questions throughout the centuries when it comes to matters of the Lord's Supper. I've studied them, I've read about them, and historically, of all the various viewpoints and ideas that have come up, and questions that have come up involving and relating itself personally to the Lord's Supper itself. I don't want to avoid them. They're important areas of study, very important areas of thought, but I'm not going to ignore them. But I'm not going to involve myself in those particular thoughts and ideas today. My quest, my interest, is to take some very practical understanding about the Lord's Supper, things that you no doubt have heard before, but only to reinforce them and to encourage you that you'll not only leave here better informed on the Lord's Supper, but you'll leave here encouraged and blessed to realize the greatness of what's taking place as we gather around the Lord's table itself. So to have a deeper walk with the Lord. And so I'm going to kind of look at this in a 3 tenths or phase today. First of all, I want us to look to the past as far as the Lord's Supper is concerned. I want us to look at the present. What kind of value, what kind of importance does the Lord's Supper have for our lives today, right now, this moment, as we've shared together, as we will continue to share as we gather together for worship. But then I'd also like to the future as far as the Lord's Supper. How does it address what's ahead of us out there in our world, ahead of us, and the days that the Lord will grant to us? And in this text, it really, in essence, discusses all 3 of these phases. It talks about the past, it talks about the present, but it also gives a very strong sense of insight as far as the future. When I think of the past, we think about the Lord's Supper and how it involves the past, it takes us all the way back almost 2,000 years ago to the cross. We would have no Lord's Supper if there was no cross, if there was no sense of Jesus dying upon the cross, because that is the whole essence of our salvation. That's why Paul would write to declare His death Because it's in his death and his dying and the shedding of his blood that we have the greatness of our salvation tied up in that very, very important moment. See, when we think about the cross, we kind of romanticize the cross. We put it on necklaces and hang it on our necks. Or we put it on bracelets and we look at it from a romantic process. But in the real intention of seeing the cross, from the time that Jesus was crucified, the cross was never seen in a romantic fashion whatsoever. In fact, the cross itself was a sense of criminality. Only the most vicious or worst criminals were crucified upon a cross. It was the most painful way that a person could die. We want to understand that a person on the cross could live as much as 3 to 5 days on the cross. Jesus only had about 6 hours. But it was excruciating, not just merely the pain, but also to understand the spiritual experience. When he was on the cross and he said and cried out, my God, why hast thou forsaken me? A lot of pain there that was involved, and I could go into that. But the sky turned black. I don't want to stretch that text any further than what it has to be stretched. But I'm wondering, as I look at that and his cry, Eloi, Eloi, lama sabachthani, my God, that even God, when Christ, the Bible says, became sin who knew no sin, that God, in essence, was showing and demonstrating he could not even look upon his own Son, who had taken upon the entire sins of all the world. I have seen a few times the movie that Mel Gibson put out, The Passion of Christ. I think that of all that I've ever seen through the years, it's probably the closest in my estimate. There'll be a few things that I might theologically differ with him on, but I'd have to say this, it's probably the clearest representation in my experience, in my life, to see what Jesus went through. The pain, the agony, the humiliation. See, when they crucified someone, they stripped them of all their clothing. I mean, just imagine that there before the entire world, and all the shame and all the pain and all the humiliation. But that's just exactly what the Lord's Supper is all about. It takes us all the way back to the cross. And what Jesus had to suffer. And what he had to do, he talked about a memorial. Thinking about reflection in our own life. During my years of preaching ministry, I'd often have the question asked me, you Christian church people, you take the Lord's Supper every week. Doesn't it become too casual? You just get adjusted to it. You just go through the ritual. It doesn't mean anything. It doesn't have any kind of impact upon your life. And I would have to be the first to admit, yeah, it could do that. You could just go through the motion. You could just become casual. You could just become pretty passive. You just kind of go through the motion. But when you think of the cross, being casual about it doesn't become casual at all, because we see the cost, the great cost of our salvation. Maybe it will resonate within us not to become so casual about sin. We tell a lie, or we use some inappropriate language, or we have some feelings, bitterness, anger, whatever, that we know are not Christian. Maybe to view the cross in the Lord's Supper, this memorial, maybe it would change our whole perspective, that it doesn't become just a casual, routine practice that we go through, but to see the cross in every part of it. If there's any wonder that Paul could write in Galatians chapter 6 and verse 14, my only boasting, the only thing I can boast about is in the cross. He understood. Whereas Paul wrote in 1 Corinthians, first couple of chapters, and he said, I declared nothing. I came knowing nothing but Jesus Christ and him crucified. And he said, I don't care how repugnant, how repulsive that it might be, because it was foolishness to the Greeks. That Greek word there is moronic. It was a stumbling block to the Jews. I don't care. I'm going to proclaim it. I'm going to teach it. I'm going to preach it. Because in this memorial, we are taken back to the cross of what Jesus has done for us and the cost of our sin. But it also takes us into the present tense as well. Here we are 2,000 years later. 2,000 years later. What importance does this memorial have for us today, right now? Let me just mention a few, if I could. One of the things that I find that it has such a present tense value for us because it helps us to give an expression of our unity that we have in Christ. Now, Jesus prayed in John chapter 17, the great high priestly prayer. It was a prayer about unity. Father, I want to have oneness. I want you to have oneness with my disciples. But the length of the prayer is given to us when he says, I want you to pray for those who will come after us, that they will be one. O-N-E, one. Just like you and I are one. I like what David wrote, Psalms 133, verse 1. Oh, how the Lord delights to see his people dwell in unity. Oh, praise the fact of the unity that he wants us to see. When we come to the Lord's table, here's the thing. We come to this table, we are all on level ground. One doesn't stand higher than the other. Black or white, rich or poor, educated or uneducated, when we come to the Lord's table, it is level. Because we come as one. One in Christ. And this is such a profound thing related to the Corinthian church. And you well know, the Corinthian church was the most sectarian, divided church that Paul ever had to deal with. And something that would bring us together. The reflection of our unity in Christ. Things that would bind us and feel a sense of sensitivity towards one another. They were making it a point of division. And I'm not going over the details of that. You read the text yourself. But what that was to bring harmony and unity and oneness. It was destroying it. In fact, Paul, if you read carefully the text, he'll say this. You know, he said, better to be in church than not be in church. But Paul said, you guys are making such a mockery of the faith, and you're making such a mockery of this memorial, it'd be better that you didn't even come and worship it. Now that had to be pretty bad in order for that kind of situation. Now let me just warn you, friends, that Satan is going to do everything he possibly can to destroy the harmony and unity that we have in Christ. He delights in it. He works on it. He supports it. Because, see, in the Lord's Supper, the reflection of it is our unity, our oneness in Christ, and to represent to the world that where there's great diversity, there's a bigger umbrella of unity that brings us together. There's strength in unity. There's power in unity. There's motivation in unity. What would be an army if they were not united? What happened to a football team if they were not united? The second thing is the fact that the Lord's Supper also, and this memorial, provides a sense of encouragement. Sometimes it's pretty difficult to be a Christian. Trials, difficulties, reversals, things happen to us. We just don't see the grass. We don't understand. There's just sometimes to say, God, I know that you know best, but I'm having a hard time here. But yet when we come to the Lord's Supper, it helps us to have the encouragement. It gives us a word of encouragement about faithfulness to the Lord and our work and for Him, serving Him. All of us go through struggles. All of us have pain. All of us have upsets. All of us have reversals with them. All of us experience hurt in life. Sometimes people say things to us that just does not help us at all. Sometimes we have these setbacks. But when we gather around the Lord's table and in this memorial, there's a great sense that we are encouraged to continue on in service for one another. You see, our assemblies are designed to build, to encourage, to motivate, to strengthen, to empower us in our sense of service. There's also a matter that the Lord's Supper, the memorial, serves as a sense of love and expression of reconciliation as well. As I said earlier, 73 years of age. And I have never seen, maybe some of you that are wiser, more in touch with things, but I don't know that I've ever seen our country where there's more hostility, there's more anger, there's more uncertainty, taking place in our country. I've seen in my lifetime. But when it comes to the Lord's Supper, we can have a better feeling about ourselves. We can be encouraged. We can have a greater sense of security. that we need and that we must have. I heard of a congregation one time, and I'm not suggesting you do this, but at least in this congregation, it was a very, very beneficial thing. Unbeknownst to the people, they gathered for worship one Sunday morning, and this happened in a Christian church. And the preacher got up and he said, "Now, we're going to do something different with the Lord's Supper today. I'm going to do it as usual." But he said, "What we're going to do is we're going to give you the emblems, and then I want you to divide up. Maybe there's someone that you have just don't have wholesome feelings towards, that you need to reconcile, you need to pull back together. And I want you to take a person that maybe you just been hurt, offended, whatever, and I want you to go to some separate places in the building. I want you to have your own personal time of worship. You take all the time that you want." There happened to be a father and a daughter in that church that were just at odds with one another. They couldn't speak a kind word, they argued, they couldn't get along with one another, just very strong tension between the father and the daughter. They took the emblems and they went off into a portion of the church building to talk. They cried, they wept, they spoke to one another, they talked with one another, and worked out their problems and took the Lord's Supper and came back. It was a very moving thing. Well, what the Lord's Supper really intended, at least in part, to do, to bring us together and reconcile. And that day they were reconciled, because this is a table of reconciliation, encouragement. The sad part of the story, and I always hate to give it, is the fact that after the service was over and people were leaving, there were some people who were just very upset. "What are you doing this for, preacher? Disrupting the service like this, carrying on like this. You just change things around. You're just disrupting the whole thing." And they missed the whole point of what the Lord's Supper is really all about, this memorial. It has present tense significance and value, because God, more than anything else, wants us to love one another, care for one another, and nurture one another, and build one another. And this memorial is designed for that. But it also has some future things, and you may not have caught it, probably most of you have. But I want you to notice in this text it says this: "I want you to participate in this and take it until the Lord comes again." Did you get that? The Lord comes again. You proclaim the Lord's death until the Lord comes again. Now, if you look at the world through the eyes of a non-Christian, you can be, shall I say, very, very disenchanted of the future, of what's taking, where are we headed in this world? What's going on here? And I don't think so much about myself. I mean this sincerely. I'm at an age now that I've lived my life. I've had an opportunity to serve the Lord, a wonderful wife, a wonderful family, been blessed more than I deserve. There's no question about that in my mind. But I think about my children. And I think about my grandchildren. What do they have to look forward to as far as this world is concerned? The world is becoming probably a more dangerous place all the time. And as it becomes more dangerous, this shouldn't surprise us. When I talk with Christians, oh boy, you know, what do we expect? The Bible already told us it's going to be this way, didn't it? Already told us that evil men are going to wax worse and worse. The Bible we shouldn't be shocked by this or dismayed over this whole thing. But if you look at it from a non-Christian perspective, is there going to be an economic collapse? Is it going to happen? Well, it won't happen. Well, we don't know that. Is there going to be persecution? I wouldn't be taken over by foreign tyranny. And they're going to come in here while we're in worship service and hold a gun to our head. You either get out of here and give up Christ or walk out, or we're going to kill you. I don't know. I'm not pessimistic. I'm just facing reality and trying to look at this through the eyes of a non-Christian, his perspective on things. So the Bible's clear about this, but here's the thing. We take this because of the future. The future. Christ said, I want you to do this, proclaim my death until I come again. And I want you to know He's coming again. Because Jesus is not just really a promise maker. Jesus is a promise keeper. And you can rest assured. Every book of the New Testament, without the exception of 2, make mention of his return. All 8 writers in the New Testament give direct reference to the physical, bodily, historically return of Jesus Christ back to this world again. We as people, believers, we can live the most optimistic, most positive people on the face of the earth because I've read the end of the book. And if there's anything in the book of Revelation I do understand, and I try to understand as much as I can, that the church and Christ is triumphant and we were winners. We are promised a sense of hope. We are promised a sense of victory, and we will win. We're not a bunch of losers. We are a bunch of winners in Christ Jesus. Therefore, the future for us, and that's when we gather around this table as our memorial. It tells us and says to us this: I want you to proclaim my death, present tense, until I come again. And brothers, it won't be too soon for me if he was to come this very day. This is memorial for Christians. It's Memorial Day, and proud of it and glad for it. But the greatest sense of completing this day as the best day that could be for your life, I assume the fact that all of you here today are followers of Christ. Maybe some of you are not. And it would be amiss to me if I did not take the time and appeal to you. If you are not a Christian today, you need to become a Christian. I just didn't come here to preach a sermon. I didn't just come here to fill in. I came here to appeal to any one of you here today that have not embraced Jesus Christ as your Lord and Master. You need to do that. The Bible says that today is the day of salvation. Not tomorrow, not next week. If it is the right thing to become a Christian, and the right thing to do is the right thing to do right now, today. So as we think about the great memorial, the Christian memorial, I encourage to you as we come to this morning invitation to embrace Christ and receive Him as your personal Lord and Savior. We stand and we come to a pleasant invitation. If you have a decision to make, would you come as we stand and as we sing together?